There it is. Screen says we are live. Sorry, folks. I think I am technically a minute late because I had to take a whiz. You enjoy those big fat titties. Those are, I think I grabbed Cherry DeVille. She's good. Those big fat titties. I am checking the audio, which appears to be working just swimmingly. Okay, let's get it going. And enough emphatic speaking out of yours truly. Sorry, I was hitting the vape before, so I am, as usual, feeling delightful. The big tits that we put on the screen, of course, something for you to stare at while I check the audio. Audio problems have been sort of a hallmark of this show, so I try to get ahead of them by checking out the audio when we first go live. And I realize that can be a very boring experience if you're watching a live stream. So I put the big tits on the screen to afford you the opportunity to gaze upon a set of hefty milkers while I tend to the audio. If you are a fan of big tits and you're listening to the audio version of this, the Savage Sacktap, which can be downloaded wherever podcasts are available, you may want to check out Mike Montone on YouTube and Facebook.com/The Savage Crew. And on YouTube, actually, just if you search for Sacktap Live, you'll come across the show because we do start and end every episode with a nice big set of tits on the screen. It's sort of our chance to set our intention for the evening, for the hour ahead, and then at the end to kind of enjoy a nice conversation in the comments section and close things out before we say goodbye to each other for another week. So that's what the big tits are for, and I take a moment, of course, to plug the show and the social media pages. You can find me Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler. And of course, I mentioned the live streams available on Facebook.com/The Savage Crew, and search for Sacktap Live on YouTube. Okay. Well, breaking the law. We are talking about crime tonight. Crime and how to get away with it while having a gushing, screaming orgasm. So grab your assault rifle and sanitize your favorite ball gag. A fresh episode of the Savage Sacktap is starting right now.
You're listening to the Savage Sacktap. It's not a podcast. It's not a half-cast. It's just a quick shot to the balls to help you finish off the week. We're cutting through the bullshit, filling your Friday with rage-fueled logic, and cracking a few jokes along the way. So grab a bag of frozen peas. There's a Savage Sacktap coming your way.
Smooth, lascivious, salacious, outrageous.
Unfortunately, for those new to the show, it is at this time that we remove the big tits from the screen for the time being. They'll return about at 45 minutes to an hour. You'll see those bad boys back up there. So allow me to swap out for this. We are going to need the space on screen. Here we go. Let's get underway. Good to see Thomas Hager in the comments section already, taking the opportunity to point out that yes, my right eye is a goddamn train wreck. What are you gonna do? I'm working on getting it taken care of. There are a lot of neurologists and MRIs and what have you to go through before you can get that done. But someday, Thomas, I will no longer look like a freak who was mangled in an incident after football practice. Anyway, what do you say we tend to the business of the day? I always like to start this show with an update on the goings on in New York City, because I realized that, I've had friends come in to visit the city for, the day or whatever, and they've seen it during a working day. And I think there's always kind of a shock that these iconic neighborhoods like Times Square and stuff are just a normal part of your day. You're just strutting around. I remember when I went to visit Milan in Italy, and we were in the one of the big piazzas there with the cathedral and all that shit. It's pretty, it's ancient, it's really cool. But there are people walking around and like, because you land there on like a Tuesday or some shit. It's the summer, you're on vacation, and people are walking around with briefcases and stuff. And you're like, oh yeah, this is just some fucking guy who just graduated college and is working for a marketing firm a couple blocks away. This is just his everyday. And New York City is such a unique place that I think there's always something to talk about on the way to and from work. This week, no different. I was on my way out of the city, back right outside of the Port Authority, which is one of the most lawless strips in Manhattan. I've said before, it's like fucking crackheads walking around like non-player characters that you have to fight in an old school arcade game. And there was a woman with a massive ass walking on the on 8th Avenue over like right near like 8th and 42nd, going underneath the fucking thing, which is like they're just circling around, and one of them winds up and whacks her right in like the fat of the cheek, and he keeps walking a few steps, and then she turns around and looks at him, and he's standing there just dancing, doing like a fucking jig, like high out of his fucking mind. Like this wasn't a situation where like, construction workers catcalling or anything like that. This was not, I didn't do a goddamn thing about it. I saw the whole thing go down. Like, I'm not going near the crackhead. Like that's like, you have to understand, like in New York, we kind of play by prison rules on the street. A crackhead slapping a woman on the ass, it's not nice, but it's like, it is outside the Port Authority. It's just kind of fucking like that's just how it goes. You don't get involved, because you don't know what the fucking, like, even she didn't seem to give a shit. She just looked at him and was like, what the fuck, like, crackhead. And he was just standing there dancing, smiling his ass off, having just walloped a big piece of butt cheek. And she probably, I think objectively, she could have stomped his fucking ass into the ground if she had wanted to, but she just had no time for it. And to me, that's not a me tooing. To me, that's just a run in with a crackhead. Like, what are you gonna do? That again, in a city where people are regularly, slashed across the face, thrown in front of trains, masturbated on, there's feces all over, fucking rats. That's sort of a best case scenario. If you're like, a crackhead is going to touch you today, and you were and you had no idea what the extent of the touching was going to be, you'd be like, you got a pretty good deal. Like if you opened up a fortune cookie and it said like, on the ass, you will be slapped by a man who is high on crack. And, you were like, all right, this isn't the worst thing that could happen in an interaction with a man who is high on crack. It could have gone a lot worse. The open air drug market that I've told you guys about a few times moved a block away because of police activity. Fucking hilarious. Like, there's just a gang of cop cars on the corner where the drug market used to be, and they're working on fixing. One of them got like a flat tire or some shit, so it's like 5 cops standing around fucking jacking up a car, replacing the tire. And then I walk a block towards the Port Authority, and the drug dealers have just moved. They're just literally selling their shit 1 block to the south. So that's promising. And of course, I've told you guys about the bathroom, the hero of the Port Authority bus terminal bathroom. This guy's like the orderly in there. And a lot of homeless guys will use the stalls for various things like, jacking off. That's a big, jacking off in a bathroom stall is a very big homeless vagrant activity. Very popular amongst that community. And they'll go in there to do heroin. I don't think they defecate that often. When they do, it must be a fucking disaster. But someone had been in there they were malingering in there for quite some time. And this guy takes no fucking shit off of anybody. He just starts pounding on the fucking door and starts screaming, "Quit playing with your motherfucking Willie and get the fuck out of here. I'm calling the cops if you're not out in 5 minutes." And then announced that he was going to enforce a 5 minutes in the stall rule because he was concerned about guys who are only coming in to jack off while other guys take a piss. And then he also pointed out that there might be guys who are in there just to look at other guys' dicks and that they needed to get the fuck out too, which I think is fair because every once in a while you will catch a fucking dude at the urinal. Like there are dividing walls between the urinals, like little fucking things, not huge, but like the kind that if you're tall enough you can look over. And every once in a while you will see a guy doing some fucking meat gazing at the Port Authority. Like it is an unsavory place. It amazes me that women like fresh out of college who are commuting in from the suburbs walk through this place. Like 22-year-old women would just walk through in, nice clothes on their way to work. They should, like, it doesn't feel like a good place for them. Like you need to be ready at all times to do violence in the Port Authority bus terminal. You have to be ready to fight. I'm not fucking joking. Like, and in the terminal too, they just set up fucking shop. An absolute disaster. But speaking of crime in shithole northeastern cities, I have this video from Philadelphia. We'll take a look at. This is wild stuff that went down. Let me set it up for you first. Shocking surveillance footage captured part of a deadly ambush attack on a man pumping gas at a Philadelphia gas station earlier this week. And I like how they call him a man pumping gas. Like obviously, and we're going to take a look at the video here, but it is quite obviously a well-planned, well-executed hit. Like there has to be more to who this man is than just a man pumping gas. Like I will grant you that it could be like a spousal, a homicide, some shit like that, like someone who knows him. Maybe my assumption is that this guy is involved in some sort of organized crime and this was a hit. Obviously, there are other circumstances where a professional killing may go down. A spousal or a business dispute. If someone has enough money to hire hitmen, they might do that. But usually those, I feel like, wind up being either wildly bungled or an undercover cop. So this feels like this was a hit. And I don't, I think the victim was a black guy, I believe. I don't know about the hitmen who pulled it off. It says two killers dressed in all black fatally shot the victim in broad daylight at a Gulf station in North Philly on Monday. Video released by Philadelphia police shows the suspects pulling into the gas station in a maroon Mazda 3 with Jersey plates at about 2:30 p.m. before parking in the corner of the lot. We'll go over all of this in a second. The assailants, who were wearing masks and hoods, darted out of the car, ran towards their target as one brandished an assault rifle and the other a handgun. So let's go to the videotape. So this is them. They're pulling in. And they cruise up to the pump. So this looks like a little bit of like recon, maybe. Checking it out. You want to make sure you got the right guy. You're looking for Phil Leotardo. And then they cruise over here to the corner of the parking lot so they can get out as soon as it's done. Now the guys come out. They are fucking moving. Drop some suppressing fire, and then they it looks like they flanked him, hit him, and they got the fuck out of there. So a few things about this. Very well executed. A very well executed. Assuming the car is stolen and everything is properly destroyed afterwards, just from and obviously it's horrible, somebody died. We're looking at this through, I'm looking at this through more of a tactical frame. um they swoop through, they get a close look at the guy, they pick out the target. It's leaders recon. You want to make sure, if you're doing this kind of thing, that you don't, accidentally hit some fucking a lookalike or whoever. You want to get the right guy, because, if you are in a crime thing, that it tends to be easier to get away from the heat if you kill another gangster, as opposed to if you kill a fucking soccer dad dropping the kids off, and he's elementary school teacher from fucking somewhere. Then the community's going to be outraged. They're going to go after you. They're going to pressure the police to bring you in. So the leader's recon there, a very, very important element for how you're going to be able to manage this situation afterwards. Then the car repositions itself so they can get the fuck out of there, so they won't be blocked in. Because if you saw prior to the shooting, you see that other car drive by. Now, if the escape car stays there in that spot and they get out and do this, they may have to, if that other car doesn't move out of the way, if another car comes up, they may have to contend with a car in their way before they can get out. So the driver positions them very well. Like, this feels like it was well rehearsed. They get out, they move very quickly, they suppress, they flank, and then they get to the target, so he doesn't have time to maybe get to his car, get to a weapon, that run off. Just closed with him, took care of him, and got the fuck out of there. And obviously, modern technology is going to make a complete getaway very difficult. That's always a thing. But if if you get rid of the car, you're dressed in all black, you get out to, I always think, take care of the shit in a secluded, faraway area. I am not from just like I feel like from a tactical perspective, the idea of like dropping it off at like a shopping mall or something like that, just too many fucking cameras around to tail you out of there. Really get the fuck away from society to change everything over. Obviously, on the other hand, there is always the possibility that this is some kind of mistaken identity. Because I was reading the article, the family seemed very upset. No one's mentioned anything about his lifestyle or enemies or anything like that. So obviously, that is fucking terrible if it was a mistaken identity, and he really is just your average Joe pumping gas. Horrible, horrible. And I mean, I don't think death is never to be taken lightly. But to me, a well coordinated, rehearsed, well executed hit like this screams of a relatively high value target. So it's not like in the Bronx, in fucking Brooklyn, where you go on the New York Post, and there will be a million fucking videos of just gangbangers shooting it out in broad daylight, fucking across streets, teenagers around walking home from school, bullets zipping around. There's always these stories about they just come and shoot up a fucking backyard barbecue or whatever. Those are inexperienced. They're sloppy. They're tactically very weak. Then you see something like this, and you're like, oh, that was, you practiced that before. You went in, you knew exactly what you're doing. Like, there was effort put into that. There was intelligence put into it. And I think that makes it interesting to look at. And then the other element is, of course, if you are that high level criminal, then you go about your business every day kind of with the knowledge that you may one day get whacked. So there's that element of it too. That sort of that Tony Soprano element where he's always talking. That one of the running themes in that show is the constant, death looms over them at all times, right? There's that conversation between is it fucking Bacala and Tony about what it's like to get whacked. Do you hear anything? Like, what is it? So that if you're in that life, again, not that people are, people close to you are going to be happy that you're dead, but I think there's more of an understanding that it could happen, and that's just, that is your existence. And that's, I mean, I say that not having been in organized crime, but obviously, I was in the Marine Corps. I deployed to a combat zone. I went outside the fucking wire every day on patrols and shit. Had, a couple relatively dangerous situations by civilian standards at least. So I sort of understand. There's, I think, there's a parallel there. But yeah, I am. I know that's not. It's not the funniest story. I know we're usually here for jokes and big tits, but I'm a very big organized crime nerd. So when there's video of something that looks like a well rehearsed, well executed hit, I got to check it out. But we will. Well, now I don't know if I can say that we're shifting over to a more lighthearted story. Let me see. Thank you, Thomas. I will pass, but very, very, very much appreciated. Applejack says the victim is always a black guy. No, not necessarily. A few years ago, if you look at, there was surveillance video footage of in New York what was an attempted mob hit on a made guy. It was they captured. I guess it was some one of those fucking neighborhood, like a ring cam or something. Got he was like that was in the Bonanno family maybe. And a car pulled up, a guy hopped out, they shot at him, but he managed to get away. It was a horribly executed. Um, but yeah, so not always. Um, yes, Thomas, that's not a very sensitive comment there, so I won't repeat it, but we will move on to our next story here. This is certainly an interesting one. This fucking guy. Look at this feller. He got himself in trouble. Groom found guilty of attempting to sexually assault bridesmaid days before wedding. Naughty boy. A Monroe County, Pennsylvania jury found a man accused of allegedly sexually assaulting a bridesmaid in his and his now wife's wedding party. That's issue. They went through with it. How about that? Ahead of their 2019 nuptials, guilty on 4 out of 5 charges after 9 hours of deliberation. Carney, 30, was found guilty on 4 out of the 5 charges he was facing: attempted sexual assault, aggravated indecent assault without consent, simple assault, and indecent assault without the consent of others. He was found not guilty of attempt to rape an unconscious person, which is weird because all of this sounds a lot like he attempted to rape an unconscious person. I guess they just couldn't prove that the woman was unconscious. But rape aside, ignoring that factor, big factor, but just for the moment, let us ignore it. If you're even in a position where you want to bang one of your future wife's bridesmaids, why are you getting married? And let's just give this guy the benefit of the doubt, wrongfully convicted, consensual, moment of passion. Why? That doesn't seem like a good idea. And especially if the urge is so powerful that you feel compelled to do so during the wedding weekend at a pre-wedding event. Like that, if you're doing that, like you really want to fuck this chick and she's like best friends with the woman you're marrying, you shouldn't be getting married. That's a big red flag. Red flags to look out for. Fiance tries to bang one of your bridesmaids days before the wedding. Carney allegedly forced himself on one of his wife's bridesmaids on August 30th, 2019. Where were you the day that this fucking, what's his name? Matt Carney? Something Carney. I cut off the part of the article where it says his name. Maybe it says it in the link. Nope. Some fucking carny. Anyway. Where were you August 30th, 2019? Following a pre-wedding celebration that involved drinking and rafting on the Delaware River. Jesus fucking Caucasians, huh? I mean, like, white people love to complain about the behavior of other ethnic groups, but goddamn, if you get some fucking Caucasians day drunk at a wedding event and some shit is about to pop off. There is just something about the soul crushing monotony that especially my generation, like millennial, 20 through 40 somethings, who have just kind of fallen into that, hey, married, kids, they lived a couple of years in like an urban area after college, and then all of a sudden married, kids, out to the suburbs. These fucking people will go hog wild for a weekend of wedding related day drinking. I mean, and it's the best part about it is that they're all kind of mentally ill. They're all on fucking, Xanax and Adderall and antidepressants. The Caucasian millennials are a fucking disaster. And they're all just pouring chemicals into their fucking bodies and making it even worse. It is just the perfect combination of prescription medications, booze, sunlight, and unaddressed emotional issues is how stuff like this happens. I'm almost as shocked as I am that someone would be wild enough to try to pull this off. I'm also not shocked that it was a bunch of fucking white people on a wedding weekend doing some day drinking and ultimate white people activities like rafting. White people just love an activity that they can dress up by getting shit-faced. Police began investigating after the victim, then 29, went to Lehigh Valley Hospital, Pocono, and told the hospital staff that she had been sexually assaulted, court records said, according to the Morning Call. Woo! I used to read the Morning Call when I was in college, Allentown, Pennsylvania, baby. Yeah, shout-outs. According to the probable cause affidavit obtained by People at the time, Carney insisted to police he did nothing wrong and that he felt like he was taken advantage of by the victim. I mean, look, that's what the playbook says you do there. That's like, 3rd and 5, maybe draw, screen, privileged white male sex assault suspect 101. Flip it around, blame the victim. That is what you do. She was drunk. She was in my wife's wedding party. It would have been rude if I didn't fuck her. Something like that is what these guys do. She was passed out behind the dumpster. I had to fuck her. That's how it goes. However, he later amended his account, allegedly admitting he grabbed the victim by the arm and pulled her into the men's locker room at the Shawnee Inn and Golf Resort in Shawnee on Delaware, where the alleged assault occurred. Investigators were able to obtain surveillance footage that allegedly corroborates aspects of the victim's account, which was shown to the jury during Tuesday's testimony, according to WFMZ. The woman said she lost consciousness because of her intoxication and woke up to a sharp pain as Carney allegedly bit her and groped her. Jesus Christ. What the fuck is wrong with this guy? She said she lost consciousness again, and allegedly she woke up to find Carney on top of her. Carney's wife allegedly found him and the victim in the shower. The maid of honor said, Jesus fucking... You imagine being the maid of honor for this fucking thing? Because, so, like, if you're the best man for a wedding, it's fun. You go for a bachelor party, you organize a fun outing with the boys, you give a speech. That's about it. Good. You hold on to a couple rings for 2 hours. The maid of honor hates her life. I don't know how friendships must be broken up after someone is the maid of honor for one chick for the other, because from what I understand, it's expensive. The bride's a fucking cunt. Not a lot of work to be done, a lot of organizing and haranguing of the other bridesmaids, get measured for this, do that, plans, fucking bachelorette party, bridal shower, all of that bullshit. And then you're the fucking point man for the press, who wants a follow up after the groom gets boozed up on a fucking daytime rafting trip and decides it would be a good idea to try to rape another member of the bridal party. What a fucking, that's a raw fucking deal. Like that, she paid money to do that between the bachelorette party and the dress and all that shit and the hotel room and the gift. Fucking a lot of cash to have to put up with that fucking bullshit. His wife, Nicole Norris, defended him in court, claiming the bridesmaid was conscious during the incident. I mean, the crime just, this feels like as straightforward of a rape as you could possibly get. Like, not even to make light of it, but it feels like it is a crime that just defies logic. And I don't want to make this sound like I'm condoning the late night dark parking garage rapist. I don't. Horrible, horrific crime. But I get the MO. That part makes sense to me. It's dark, you strike by surprise, you're in and out, you wear a ski mask, you flee the fucking scene. I get that. Raping somebody that you know well enough that she is in your wife's wedding party and doing it in a locker room at the venue seems like an incredibly haphazard approach to forcible intercourse. I don't know what would go through, what woman would be a party to that, to consensually doing that. It just feels like such a stupid fucking idea to do it consensual. I mean, it's a stupid fucking idea to do it without consent. It's a stupid fucking idea to do it with consent. It's a stupid fucking idea all around. Carney allegedly texted the bridesmaid after the alleged assault, saying he made a mistake and he's happy to marry his wife. I've woken up in the morning to some fucking texts. Like some fucking, hey, we did something fucking stupid last night text. Like there was a Sunday night, I think I've told this story one summer, where we were smoking weed all day and eating out of a bag of ecstasy. And then we went to a rooftop bar in Hoboken, and we wound up stealing a rugby trophy from a team that had just come home from a tournament. And we woke up the next day, and our buddy was sending pictures of the trophy around. So I've woken up with like enough, hey, what like moments. Waking up on your wedding day, coming to, shaking the fog out, and being like, oh, fuck. I raped one of the fucking bridesmaids yesterday. Like, how do you even wake up like that? What do you do? I don't know that I would text. I don't know how you handle it, but in an affidavit obtained by People in 2019, detectives reviewed the text messages allegedly sent from Carney to the victim, which read, "I wanted to apologize again for everything. Can we please just be as happy as possible for the bride today?" I don't know if we can. We might be past the point. That I don't think that works. Mistakes are behind us, and I just need total closure before I do this. That is why I'm sending this. By the way, this chick is sitting there fucking reading this, getting her hair and nails done, drinking mimosas next to the bride. What the fuck? She's getting this text because they get up, you know, the day of the wedding, women get up at like 5 a.m. because they have to, for whatever reason, they have to get professionally done makeup. They've been doing makeup all their lives. They should have a good feel for how it's done, but they have to get their makeup their hair professionally done. Which is another thing that they make the bridesmaids and the maid of honor pay for. Guys usually wake up at a reasonable time, show up around noon, eat a sandwich, drink a beer, throw on a suit, take a couple pictures, and then that's it. It's just hanging out, making dick jokes, talking about which one of the bridesmaids you're going to bang and which one is off limits because she's apparently the sexual plaything of the groom. Very, very odd behavior here. He says, I'm happy as ever to marry the bride, and I know this is terrible as well, but my dick was out in the shower. We never did do it, but would you consider taking plan B to make damn certain just in case? There is almost no chance, but still, please tell me yes. I'm begging you. That feels like the text message of a man who definitely put his penis into an unconscious woman and realized it after the fact and is now trying to play it off as though the two of them were both equally culpable in this rendezvous. Yeah. Yeah, if you have to tell a woman that you didn't actually have penetrative intercourse, that would suggest that she had no idea what was going on. Honest and looking at the guy's picture objectively, I don't even know how this guy was getting married to begin. I mean, this is a less than flattering pic, but he appears to be a somewhat unattractive alcoholic with a penchant for sexual assault, or at the very least, infidelity. And I don't know if those are attributes that you would generally seek out in a husband. I can't, picture yourself walking into a PTA meeting or you're picking your kid up from Little League practice with this fucking jackass by your side. I really do think that a lot of people are so desperate to get married and sort of just check the boxes of life that they wind up settling down with like the first person they meet at happy hour and that's it. Like they get drunk one Thursday night at a bar, they're with a few coworkers, they start mingling with the table 10 feet away, they meet someone in a similar line of work, they go home, they have kind of an hour of very awkward, less than satisfying drunk stranger sex. And, neither of them have many life prospects going on other than a kind of bland career in corporate America, putting all their money towards fucking rent in an overpriced, undersized apartment. So they say, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's go for life. And oh well, different strokes for different folks, as they say. Yeah, let me see. Yes, Thomas, I have absolutely been to way too many fucking weddings. They're fun. I love a wedding. I absolutely love a wedding. If you have a wedding with a great happy hour food spread or cocktail hour, whatever you want to call it, that hour before you go into the real reception area and sit down, if you have a good food spread for that, yeah, that's it. It's a great night. A fucking you get people who do raw bar for that. A raw bar, a nice big antipasto station with all the fucking meats and all of that, and then I like a nice little pasta station, and then you need something to mix it. You want a good protein too, so maybe a decent carving station or some sliders, and then I think something sort of off, something exotic, maybe a build your own martini station that's separate from the bar, or whatever, a sushi table, something like that. But yeah, if you nail the cocktail hour, what a night. You're just setting yourself up for a tremendous evening. In any case, these people do not. I don't think they had a tremendous evening. They seem like the kind to splurge on a venue. These people seem like the kind of people who would, they'd be like, all right, look, between us, we have, whatever, 60,000. My parents will give us another 30 towards it. We can have a $90,000 wedding. And like, they seem dumb enough to do that instead of using it for an index fund or a down payment on a house. They're like, no, it'll be a magical day. And then the magic is ruined when the groom decides to sexually assault a member of the bridal party. But moving on, we have more to discuss. Speaking of true love, let's get these two lovebirds up here. There they are. Oh boy, what a handsome couple. New details emerge about Vicky White's escape plot with Casey White. And I was looking around for content, and I had a video of some fucking twat on Broadway yelling at an audience member for not wearing a mask. Maybe we'll take a look at that at that next week, because we did crime stories. We're talking about crime. So I figured we'd end on some crime, and I hadn't touched on this story too much, and it kind of came to a conclusion this week. So I figure, fuck it, why not? Let's delve right in. Sure, you guys know by now that he's been caught, she's dead. So let's recap how this all went down to close things out. Vicky White reportedly went shopping at a sex toy shop before she helped her inmate boyfriend escape, leading to an 11-day manhunt that ended in her suicide and his capture. Details about the former Alabama jail honcho's shopping spree emerged during an extensive interview U.S. Marshal Marty Keeley gave about her ill-fated adventure with Casey White. First of all, if you are going to be a fugitive couple on the run, you need some dildos, some butt plugs, lube, beads, get it all. You are now in a die at any moment situation with a person of the opposite sex who you clearly have a sexual relationship with. You have got to add to that, to the thrill of running from the law and helping a violent offender evade justice. You do have to include some dirty motel room sex. Otherwise, why are you doing it? Like, don't go through the motions. Do that shit. Fill up every one of each other's orifices. Enjoy. I can't imagine, despite their physical appearances, as I look at this picture, the kind of no holds barred, like toy and fear fueled fucking that they must have done, and I'm sure he discussed when he was debriefed by the police. It must have been absolutely exhilarating. And this is not to say that sex with this woman would be exhilarating, but sex under those conditions, and for her, probably off the charts, because there is a big discrepancy in risk level here too. This guy he's in jail forever, right? And he's facing, so he's in jail, I think, for like 70 years, something like that. And then he's also facing a death penalty case in a homicide. So for him, dying in a police shootout isn't the worst deal. He goes into this big, like, look, this could all end with me getting riddled with bullets and not having to deal with any of this bullshit again. If he gets caught after 2 weeks on the run and the cops don't kill him, it's like, all right, well, fuck it. We had a vacation. I go back to jail. I see the guys. I tell them all about the 11 days I spent living in motels using a remote control butt plug on the chick who used to run the prison. I mean, you become a legend around the cell block if you do that. Like, people are going to give you their cigarettes, their tuna from the commissary, their extra dessert in the mess hall. You're a fucking pimp. For her, it's a fucking big mistake. At first, authorities believe the murder suspect might have kidnapped Vicky, the assistant director of corrections for Lauderdale County, but soon realized her cover story about taking him to a mental health evaluation was a ruse. Keeley and the Gulf Coast Regional Fugitive Task Force then sprang into action and started gathering leads. Yeah, they say the first break came when a fellow jail worker reported that Vicky had called and she wanted to be picked up at an Academy Sports and Outdoor store in Florence, Alabama, and said that she had locked the keys in her car and needed a ride to work. And that is where they went back to the parking lot. They found the patrol car, and yeah, it was there. They found the patrol car that she had left the sheriff's office with a few hours earlier. And they also got, because there's fucking surveillance cameras everywhere, the orange getaway Ford Edge that she had bought with cash a few days later. Like I said, with that gang assassination in the first video we watched, there are fucking cameras everywhere now. So you have to find a way around that, which Philadelphia, tough. The rural South, you should be able to pull that shit off. And I think that is where they fucked up on their prep for this. So the real move would have been to leave the car in the woods somewhere. Again, fucking Alabama, you should be able to do this. Get yourself a ride into work that morning. Fucking public transportation, bus, whatever. Tell people your fucking car's in the shop. Then, when you break your guy out, you go, you switch the fucking cars, you do it again in a secluded location, put it in fucking neutral, push it into a fucking lake or something so that it takes forever for people to find it and drive off in the backup car. Eventually, they probably do have a tracking device in the sheriff's car. They're going to find it. But if you do it out in a rural area, no cameras around, they don't know which way you took off, you buy yourself a lot more lead time that way. And you have to plan something like this months and years in advance. Like if you're going to do this, like the place where you're going to go switch the cars should be extensively reconned. You should know everything about it, what time people are coming and going, how much fucking traffic it gets, everything. Just sit on it for fucking weeks, watching shit and recording shit. You can't, if you're going to do something like this, you can't fuck around. Like, you have to do things with an ass-bleeding level of detail. Let's see. Vicky had already sold her house for $95,000, far below market value, sold her car, and filed for retirement. She also bought an AR-15 and a shotgun to add to her 9mm service semi-auto and .45 caliber handgun. So investigators later learned that Vicky had bought men's clothes at a local Kohl's department store and also visited a store that sells sex toys. So we're stocking up on the essentials, right? Cash, weapons, clothing, dildos. This is smart. But I think we're missing a few things. I would throw in some sleeping supplies, some non-perishable food so you can hide out away from public view if you need to, something to convert water. And again, this isn't about finding a permanent solution. These are all, if you're in a position where you're making your escape and you need to do things to stay out of the public view and buy yourself time, how would you go about doing it? Because there is going to be an end game here that you're going to have to get to. 2 law enforcement officials said Vicky had also left the jail with Casey previously in what investigators believe was a dry run for the escape. She took him out of the lockup for about 40 minutes. Officials told the outlet on condition of anonymity. Look, rehearsals make everything a little bit easier. You always want to rehearse something like this. Now, I don't know if this is actually, if they're saying it's a rehearsal or a dry run. I don't know if it's that, or she might just be trying to establish that, yeah, this is a thing. I take him out, I bring him back. I take him out, I bring him back. So that when she takes him out, there's no suspicion. Oh, yeah, she's taking him to his thing. She took him last week. Of course. They came back. Yeah, why wouldn't they? She's a responsible law enforcement officer. Tips began to flow in, but nothing panned out until a tow truck driver from Tennessee reported that he had towed a Ford Edge 3 or 4 days earlier and that it was still in his tow yard, Keeley said. Again, that's why you want to leave these things away from where people are going to find them. The next break came when a homeowner in rural Tennessee recognized a photo of Casey and helped authorities piece together what had happened. You have to avoid the public, because once you've interacted, especially now with the internet, once you've interacted with a few people, that's it. These guys, and especially these two, stick out like a fucking sore thumb. The thread is going to unravel real quick. Real fucking quick. What they should have done was figured out a way to drive around with him completely out of view of the fucking outside of the vehicle, right? How if whether you have to manipulate the vehicle, something, again, plan for an extended period of time. And then she should, if she shaves her head, dyes her hair pink, puts in a fucking nose ring or something like that, all of a sudden she just looks like, some sort of like liberal fucking douchebag. She looks like the opposite of a prison guard. So this isn't about that's going to be her disguise for the rest of her life. This is about buying time to get the fuck away and not be noticed until you really get to the sort of apex of your plan. He told police he sold Vicky a Ford F-150 for cash. It didn't have license plates, but she didn't care. He says, "Yeah, I sold him a truck." And so we learned that he sold him a truck the same day they escaped from Lauderdale County Correctional Facility. It was just a few hours after they escaped. During the sale, a woman in an orange Ford pulled up. The two drove off trailing one another, said the homeowner. So the homeowner, this guy fucking provides the truck's VIN number, and now you fucked yourself. The more you involve other people, the more of an evidence trail you create. So what you really need to do is put shitloads of fucking planning into the lead up to this, and have everything you need staged and ready to go by the day of. So if you're going to use multiple cars, you have your spots where you're going to ditch your fucking car, and you have your spot where you're going to pick up the other car. Like it has to be so deliberate. And that may involve purchasing multiple vehicles and placing them in locations around the region. If you can do it with one car, all the better. The two abandoned the Ford Edge and made their way to Evansville, Indiana, where Casey abandoned the car at a car wash. They then paid a homeless man to rent. This is just so poorly executed, paying cash up front for a 14-day stay. They were living under aliases in the motel and had bought a third getaway vehicle, a Cadillac sedan. The car wash noticed the abandoned truck on May 3rd and found it odd that the vehicle was still there the next morning. Again, don't leave shit where people are going to fucking see it. A police officer who checked it out determined the vehicle wasn't stolen. There was nothing they could do. The thing about this, if you're in the South and you escape from prison I feel like going to Indiana does nothing for you. It really, really feels like these people did not plan beyond get a hotel room and wait it out. What I think they should have done is this woman needs to take boating lessons for like a fucking year. Become very good at boating. Boat religiously. Just every day you're on a boat learning everything about it. Spend some of the money from the sale of your home. Buy a boat. Leave it in a slip at a port somewhere in the South that's coastal. You got the Gulf right there. And as soon as you leave jail, you are hauling ass for that boat. That is it. Because you're not existing in the United States anymore. That's over. That's not going to fucking work. Unless you have some sort of insanely remote hidden properties somewhere out in God knows where the fuck North Dakota. But even then, they're probably still going to get to you. because your face is all over the fucking place. You would have to have it if you're to go that route. You'd have to have the place pre-stocked with like years worth of non-perishable foods. In any case, I think the move is to hop on the fucking boat and go south. There have to be countries in South America or Central America who don't have extradition treaties with the United States. Go down there, fuck it. You probably still have to alter your appearance, whatever. I'm sure American money probably goes fucking miles down there. So you go somewhere small, somewhere fucking quiet, what fucking hide just as far off the beaten path as possible, and then I guess you take it from there. Then I don't have a life plan for you. Then I don't know what you do. Yeah, you got to get to. I think the only thing I could possibly think of would be getting to a non-extradition country, and that's the only way I could think of doing it. But they failed to plan properly in advance, and here we are. Another break came Sunday. The officer had written the VIN number, like I said. Keeley's team spotted it. His fugitive team descended on Evansville. They worked with the local cops, and they eventually found the Cadillac at the Motel 41, started surveillance. Vicky comes out wearing a wig with her 6'9" boyfriend, and that's it. They got you. You're dead to rights. Once they spot you, it's fucking over. Because there's the internal surveillance team who's pretty sure you're in the fucking motel. And then there's going to be there's going to be a perimeter set up. So even if you make a run for it, that run is going to be limited to an area that is cordoned off in advance by the cops. Like, so unless you're James Bond, you're not getting away. The brief pursuit ended when the officers rammed the car, which flipped over. And I guess I have no need to watch the fucking video. I don't think it's that compelling. Vicky was heard yelling, the airbags are going to go off and kill us, as she told Casey they should run, get us back to that fucking hotel. You're not, even if you get back to the hotel, it's still over. They know where the fucking hotel is. And I guess that was when she decided to just take care of it and turn the gun on herself. And that's that. And that's that. He's gone, and there's nothing we can do about it. And that's that. Oh well. A young beauty gone before her time. Her handsome lover whisked back to confinement. A true modern day Bonnie and Clyde. What do you say? I get these two boobs off the screen and get those big ass titties back up here. How about that? Get out of here. Where them titties at? Here them titties at. How are my friends down in the comment section doing this evening? He wasn't looking for an escape. He was looking for a vacation and to jerk off to a suicide. Aren't we all? We are. That is, I think, a common erotic fantasy. We've all jerked off thinking of that before. Fleeing, killing someone, going to jail, fleeing prison with a homely prison guard, having a week of dirty sex and then masturbating to her suicide. I think is that every boy kind of goes through that phase when he first learns about self-pleasure. He's 7 feet tall and she needs sex toys. What am I supposed to do with my? Well, don't. It's not nice to call it a bobo dick. But point taken. Thomas, sex toys are a part of a healthy sexual interaction. I highly recommend using sex toys with your girlfriend or your wife or whatever you have going on. A vibe, a cock ring, If she's into anal, you pop some beads or a butt plug in there. Get some toys involved. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. Fat boy should have splurged on a better knockout pill, El Gusa. I guess that in reference to the fat groom who raped his fucking wife's friend. Yeah. I mean, just what a fucking loser that guy is. Just what a fucking chump. Right hooks are free. Oh, what a quite dark. Stuck in the middle. Good to see you. Good to see you. I am doing well. I have a fun weekend coming up. What a good night last night. I train people on Thursday nights, group exercise, so it's always nice to do that. And then today I worked out myself. I got to do this lovely show for you fine folks. I worked on my week in review piece. And tomorrow I'm training more, and I'm going out to a ball game with the old man and my brother. So I'm doing quite well. 420, good to see you there. Garrett, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Matt Hartman is in the house, recalling the evening of the stolen trophy with a trophy emoji in the YouTube comments. Yeah, what that goes down as just one of the greatest stretches in my entire life. That was so we again I to kind of rehash. We did a bunch of drugs, went out drinking to a rooftop bar, and stole a trophy from a rugby team. And we partied with it. We were taking bong hits with it and posing for photographs back at the apartment. And then woke up the next day to pictures of it on the phone. Remembered that it had happened, and that the cops were apparently looking all over Hoboken for us. So I got the fuck out of I went down the shore. I had the day off. Hid out down in Belmar. Stayed down there for a couple of days at the summer house I was renting with my friends, and then went back up. And I was working in the news industry at the time, and a lot of what I would have to do would be to process surveillance video of crimes, and news outlets love surveillance footage of like kind of like wacky crimes, and a bunch of drunk dudes stealing a rugby trophy from a rooftop bar in Hoboken would fit the bill. But apparently the surveillance cameras that night weren't working, so they had no footage. And I scoured through there are these programs called Burley and iNews, where you would find such surveillance footage. All I did at work for 3 weeks after that was just scour that fucking footage, looking for a video of us stealing the trophy, because I was convinced that it was going to run on TV and my boss was going to see it and be like, "Hey, that looks like you and your friends stealing a rugby trophy." And I was going to be like, "Oh fuck, that's probably not good." So we thought the heat had cleared, and then like a month later, I got home from the gym, and there was a fucking business card from a detective from the Hoboken police in our mailbox, and they wanted to talk to us about it. So we promptly took the card and just never returned their fucking calls. But it did end with, I'm not going to say who, because they're you know they're a grown up with a professional life now. It did end with one member of our party getting charged with petty larceny, and another member of our party who was actually responsible for stealing the trophy and throwing it away because he didn't have room in the U-Haul when he moved, had to pay for an attorney for the other member of our group. So it all wrapped up, but it was absolutely one of the funniest like summer hijinks moments of my life. It went down the summer that Escape from Dannemora occurred. So like the weekend that the cops were had left us the business card and asked us to call them and were trying to get in touch with us was like the week that those guys broke out of jail, and I was going up to a friend's house to hang out in Lake George for a couple days. I think it might have been for a bachelor party or some shit. But I was going up there, and like the entire drive up, there were like New York State troopers just lining the fucking highway looking for these guys. And I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, like, I don't give a shit about being a fugitive from this bullshit thing, because these guys, this is what a real fugitive manhunt looks like. Probably no one gives a fuck about us. Like, I could probably walk into the Hoboken Police Department and like ask for like a form or something to fill out about, like a municipal thing, and they probably wouldn't even know who the fuck I was. That I was one of the guys from the rugby thing. So just interesting. Yes, stuck in the middle. Summer hijinks are the best hijinks. I love fucking uh hijinks. Matt Penisman. Very good, Thomas. And did I see someone up here shouting out Lena Paul? No, that is not Lena Paul. That is Cherry DeVille. But I am. Let me tell you something. As a man of a nice fat ass, I enjoy some Lena Paul. You'll see Lena Paul on here. Don't you worry. She is a dirty fucking girl. I am a Lena Paul fan, as we all should be. In any case, we'll wrap things up. Remember the big tits, a reminder to tell your friends about this lovely show, how we spend our Friday nights together, looking at big tits, talking about the issues of the day, and just having a good time for an hour or so on a Friday night. So tell them they can find the live stream Sacktap Live on YouTube, Facebook.com/The Savage Crew. It also streams live over there. You can find me on Twitter at Mike Montone and on Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler. And what else? Oh, of course, if you're not into big tits, the audio version of the show, the Savage Sacktap, is available pretty much wherever you can download a podcast, and I throw the links to that up on Facebook as well during the week. So be sure to check that out. And we'll wrap things up. Have a great weekend, guys. Catch you next week.